Hello, and welcome to the third episode of Did You Know? My name's Chris Lloyd, and today on presenting duties, I am joined by Sir Charles Starmer, who we shall meet in a bit. Now, did you know that last weekend marked the end of an Echo era? Ever since we were first published back on January the 1st, 1870, we've been based on the same spot on the corner of Priestgate and Crown Street. But no more. After an amazing 153 years, we have relinquished the landmark building to the developers. Now, when we moved onto the corner in 1870, it looked like this. I think this is an amazing picture. We're looking from what is now the Echo offices across what was then a monumental mason's yard. You can see all of the headstones in the foreground of the picture there. And in the distance, where Sports Direct and the multi-storey car park is today, is Pease's huge mill. Now, if you still need a locator, on the right-hand side, you can see St Cuthbert's Church. Now, it looks as if the mill has burned down, which would date this picture to 1893. Now, here's another amazing picture of the early days of the Echo building. There we are. This is 1884, I think, when the library foundation stone is being laid. You can see at the front of the picture Sir Joseph Whitwell Pease standing on the stone, which is today in East Street, opposite Wilko's. And so we're looking across from Wilko's through the library, through the throng, listening to Sir Joseph's undoubtedly thrilling speech. And in the background there, you can see the Echo's first office on the Priestgate corner. You can't really miss it, can you? It's got Northern Echo written all over it. Now, the paper's first office was actually in an old boot and shoelace factory. You can see that top right. That's what it looked like on Priestgate. And I think the Echo's proprietors rented the old factory because it was close to the post office, into which the latest news poured by telegram. So it was to this old shoelace factory that W.T. Stead, the Echo's first great editor, reported for duty on his first day in 1871. That's him, bottom right there, as an older man. He, of course, was the most famous British man to go down on the Titanic in 1912. He's regarded as the first tabloid journalist, a great sensationalist, and he turned the Echo into a campaigning liberal newspaper that was known as the Miner's Bible. Now, so successful did the paper become that in 1908, the Echo bought the whole of the Priestgate corner so that it could build a printing palace. Now, this is another one of my favourite pictures. I love all the bills advertising the Echo stuck on the mason's old shed there. I love all those ragamuffin boys on the right-hand side there. And I love, on the left-hand side, those two old gadgets, old printers, outside the Echo offices. I reckon they're looking straight at the photographer and saying, nah, this camera thing, it'll never catch on. Now, the construction of the printing palace was held up by the outbreak of the First World War. But here in January 1915, you can see that it's really beginning to take shape. I love that cabin in the middle of the road there, in which workmen were doing some very important work under the cover of their canvas. The building continued to grow. This is it in August 1915. So just a few months, 8 months after that first picture was taken. And yet the building was not complete because of the war effort until September the 13th, 1917, when it was officially opened. Now, imagine the scene. There we are. A large crowd gathered outside the building, including the great and the very good. The Bishop of Durham was there, a couple of MPs, several mayors were there, along with lots of very other important people, as well as the Echo's 200 employees. The chairman of the board of directors, Arnold Rowntree, the Liberal MP for York, was presented with an ornamental silver key with which he approached the famous corner door, and somehow he got it to open. Somehow, because the door was actually only openable from the inside, so the key was a complete irrelevance. But anyhow, he managed to get the door open and he went inside to inspect what was a veritable printing palace. There were stained glass windows, there were mahogany fittings, there were telephones on tables, there was a press that could print 70,000 copies an hour, there was a brand new photographic studio, there was even a pneumatic tube which connected the journalists to the post office. So now their latest telegrams from the distant war could be zooped through the tube to their desks without them ever having to move. Such luxury. I'm sure all the VIPs there that day were undoubtedly very impressed by what they saw, and they all signed the visitor's name book. Here it is. Who have we got here? Well, 5 down, you will see the big word Gainford. That's Lord Gainford, a member of the Pease family, who to this day is Darlington's youngest ever mayor. 5 years after he signed this book, he would become the first chairman of the BBC. Now, beneath him is Arnold Rowntree, the York MP who did the thing with the key. We met him earlier. Beneath him is someone who appears to sign himself J.G. Starbawley, which is a great name, but I've never ever come across anybody called Starbawley, so I don't know who he is. Glossing over him, we'll move on. Just beneath him is Hensley Henson. He was the Bishop of Durham, and under him is the signature of Chas W. Starmer. Sir Charles Starmer, the managing director of the Northern Echo, who is here today. Now, he is a great chap. He was twice mayor of Darlington, one of the very few, if not the only person to be twice mayor of Darlington, briefly MP for Cleveland. He was knighted for services to the newspaper industry because he brought out newspapers across the north of England and turned them into a stable based around the Northern Echo in Priestgate. And he was the driving force behind the completion of, or the construction of the printing palace. He showed everyone around on that opening day, and then they all dashed down the road with Sir Charles to the King's Head for a feast and lots of very important speeches. They were all seated at the tables, and before the starter was served, the photographer from the Northern Echo had them all look at his camera and say cheese. And then he dashed back down Priestgate to the printing palace and into the photographic studio, where he whipped up 100 prints of the picture, and then he dashed back to the King's Head, and he arrived before the dessert was even served, and he handed out to every single person there a picture of themselves as a souvenir of the opening of the great Priestgate printing palace. And here they all are in their finery at the King's Head Hotel at the starter, waiting for the starter to be served. They must have been amazed when they got their picture back before dessert. Wasn't technology fabulous, they thought. Who would have thought it even possible you could get a picture in so quick a time? Whatever will they think of next? Sir Charles, old chap, you must be on there somewhere. I can't see you anywhere. Now, I wonder if that's actually you on the left-hand side there. I don't know. There is no way, Sir Charles, you can have known that 100 years later, everyone would have one of these mobile phony things in their pockets, and they would be whizzing pictures in colour and moving pictures around the world every few seconds from their own camera, whilst you marvelled at getting a print within an hour or so. And of course, these mobile phone things have absolutely no pneumatic tubes attached to them to do their wonders. But that, Sir Charles, is the trouble with technology. It moves on at a frightening pace. The Echo has evolved over the last century. Who would have thought that Sir Charles would be appearing in a video on an Echo YouTube channel? But of course, bricks and mortar do not move on. They stand still. Sir Charles's printing palace is still very much a First World War printing palace. But of course, we now live in the digital age. So after 153 years, the Echo has moved out. So the developers can move in and start moving on Sir Charles's printing palace to its new era. It will have an adult learning skills centre on the ground floor, and there will be commercial offices above. So perhaps one day the Echo will be back to take on one of those commercial offices. In words that Sir Charles would understand, watch this space. So thank you for watching Did You Know? And now you can say that yes, you do know about the Echo's 153 years in the Priestgae printing palace. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again soon. And so it's goodbye from me, and it is goodbye from Sir Charles here. Thanks for watching. Bye.